Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CX Goalkeeper Podcast. Your host, Greg, will have smart discussions with friends, experts, and thought leaders on customer experience, transformation, and leadership. Please follow this podcast on your preferred platform. I am sure you will enjoy the next episode with the guest I selected for you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CX Goalkeeper Podcast. Today, again with Federico Cesconi. I'm super thrilled that you accepted again my invitation to discuss about a very, very interesting tool you developed in the last few months. It's all about the right way to utilize artificial intelligence to get the most important insights. And it's the Sandsiv Narrator. I think it's really a cool solution, and therefore I would like to discuss about that. But before we kick off, Federico, would you please share a few words about you, about your story, your past, and what you're doing now?
Sure. Thank you very much, Greg. It is always a pleasure to be your guest. I'm your guest not just in this podcast, but also in 6PA and other podcasts. And it's always funny and a very good experience. In few words, started to work in customer experience management around 2002, 2003. At that time, I was working in a big telco in Switzerland. This telco has been then acquired by an American operators that basically manage and handle cable TV operations and telecommunications in Europe and also in South America. And I had really this chance to start quite early, especially to work in the area of customer feedback management, customer analytics, understanding, customer journey, the drivers of satisfaction and dissatisfaction. And the joke I always say, because that company was in 2001 was near bankruptcy. So it has been acquired by Goldman Sachs for 350 million Swiss francs and was sold 4 years later to $4.8 billion. And the merit of that markup was, my customer experience management. No, yeah. So for that reason, now I'm extremely rich and I participate in the 10 just very selected podcasts.
Thank you, Federico. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And basically, we are friends and we are also discussing often about different topics. And once you said a few months ago, or now a few years ago, you said something like, this solution, this generative AI, this artificial intelligence is like the internet. It will change everything, how we are working, how we are living. Could you please elaborate a bit on that?
Well, it's related to the impact, and it's good to do kind of parallel with customer experience management, And during this time, I'm a little bit critics towards customer experience management because I see always that we are focusing in general in the community. We are focusing on the wrong things. But if you think improve the customer experience to a client, what does it mean exactly? And I have since I'm, a country boy from the Swiss Alp, I have a very simple explanation to that. So I, as a consumer, if you deliver me something that basically helps me to do the same I was doing and I need to do in a faster and easier way, you have already improved my customer experience. Going back to, when basically I saw the internet the first time, then it was quite shocking to me. I was in Los Angeles back, I think it was 92 or 93. And I immediately thought about it and said, okay, these things will really change the world. It took a while because at the beginning it was not so, well accepted. There is this normal, learning curve or technology acceptance curve, and but basically it completely changed, the world, the way we interact, not just in business, but also privately, etc., etc. I have the same feeling for generative AI because, in my opinion, let's say for artificial intelligence in general and also generative AI, I have this feeling that there is an enormous potential, and we can have really a big chance here to change a lot of things. Of course, it's a little bit different from the internet itself, because the internet itself was very big and wide field, where you can change a lot of things. Here we need also at the moment to understand what are the limits and to manage the limits. But in my opinion, it is really something that can help, as I said at the beginning, to improve the customer experience in terms to help us, to do things that we have done in a certain way faster and, easier.
I think with these two words, we can start the game, kick off the game, because start and easier, quicker and easier was the main topic. And I was impressed. You shared several articles about Disney. And what you did is you take all the feedbacks that were available online. It means everybody can do that. You put them in this new machine inside Narrator. This is what you created. And then let's say it did 80% of the job that usually analyst CX people are doing. And what was that? It was understanding these feedbacks, classifying them, creating correlation, doing analysis, doing SWOT analysis, and so on. But this is not enough. You went one step forward, and you start also creating suggestion, prioritizations, ranking, and so on. Where does this idea come from?
Okay. It's good that you mentioned Disney, because that is a public data set. Definitely is a data set that you can download, for instance, in Kaggle, which is a website where they do competitions using machine learning and artificial intelligence. And that data set is 40,000 comments of Disneyland Paris, Anaheim, and Hong Kong visitors. Review of the visit that they have done. And I started to use that data set, I think 4 or 5 years ago, showing at that time what was possible to do in the area of natural language processing. So if we think about the need we have in customer experience management, of course, we need to understand in a very basic way what are the drivers of satisfaction and dissatisfaction, and how can we work and we can improve our processes, our communications in a way that we remove the drivers of dissatisfaction and we emphasize the drivers of satisfaction. The open feedback is extremely important, because the customer tell us exactly what was the problem or what was the good things they experience during the journey. So 5 years ago, I started to work and show, and I wrote several articles on how to do this. At that time, without generative AI, it was something that to get the drivers and understanding really what were the problems took several days, not if not several weeks. And then I always try to follow that process with the new technologies coming to the market. We know each other since several years. When I saw the first transformer architecture coming to the market, and it was not the generative AI that we see today, I told you, okay, this kind of artificial intelligence architecture will will be revolutionary for the future. At that time was a little bit, less efficient and less intelligent than the generative AI that we see today, but there were a lot of potential. And I wrote also articles on Disneyland Paris using that technology. It was more or less 2019 because the first paper of the transformer is from Google in 2018. But then, I was able recently to write different articles after, I spent 1.5 years in research related really to this inside narrator. And what is the story? The story is really generating a benefit, generating this easiness and speed for customer experience manager. So what before was a work, as I said at the beginning, of several days or several weeks, now is a work that can be accomplished in few minutes, let's say. And the results are amazing compared before, because as you said, Greg, the focus today is not find the topics, find the drivers of satisfaction or dissatisfaction, but the focus today is to extract actionable insights, understand how these insights can be implemented in the company, and a lot of other information. So really make life of customer experience manager easier and their work much faster than before.
Thank you. I think this is important. Making the life easier, or let's play with the words, making the experience for customer experience managers better. That's a phrase that you used, and I'm only quoting that. And for me, it's really interesting to see. It means, to summarize, if you, dear audience, you have open text feedback from your customers, from whatever source, can be social media, can be your NPS questionnaire, or all other service that you are doing, you can take them, put that in this machine based on generative AI, and you will start getting, from my point of view, for the first time, insights, real insights, hints what you can do, how you could do that, and already prioritize. Telling you, for example, stupid example based on Disneyland Paris, around the queuing at some stores or other stuff. And I think this is game changer, because this is, let's say, the task, the activities the CX managers, CX professionals are doing, and nobody understand how difficult they were. And now they get really, you get results fast, quickly, and very, very accurate. And then you can start taking them and creating the real impact in your company. I think this was, Federico, always your vision, that it's not only about listening to customer, but you need to listen to get all the feedbacks. You need to understand that, and you, let's say, automated the second step, and then to act, to create the actions. And now we can focus on the change management side, on taking these insights in an objective way, not my gut feeling, we should do this and that, and then start creating that. Perhaps, I know that that's the topic that you like the most. Please pay attention. The audience is not as expert as you are in this generative AI, but could you please quickly explain how does it work in the background?
It works in a quite very simple way, I would say, in terms that what I've done, I basically refurbished a product that was already available before. So a product that allows, to deep dive in a data set, for instance, the Disneyland Paris data set, generating rules based on metadata. So for instance, are we talking about Paris, Hong Kong, or Anaheim? Going, I don't know, let's isolate just the people that gave NPS below 3, for instance. So really selecting a specific data sets. Then The other big problem, I think I mentioned to you already several times, this problem was the problem that everybody knows when they work with LLM, which is hallucinations. After, the whole research on this product took 1.5 year. The first 9 months, we were so excited that the model itself could generate, sentiment analysis calculation, topic detection calculation, and things like that, that we didn't realize that the model or the large language model suffer of hallucination, and the results were not correct. So it was really a big shock for us, because already 8 months spent in research and development was a big failure. But then we realized, that it was possible to work with a different artificial intelligence architecture. And the artificial intelligence architecture we applied is the one related to agentic AI. So instead to simply use a large language model, you use a team of agents, like, a team of business people, exactly the same. And each one has a specific task. And when we must perform a mathematical calculation, we have specific agents that do that, and they don't go, and they are not allowed to go to large language model in order to avoid this hallucination, in a way that we are 100% sure that the mathematical results are correct. How they work? Very simple. We take all these feedbacks, we give these feedbacks to this team of agents. They start to work in different way, applying, standard old school natural language processing approach, like lemmatization, removing stop words and things like that. Do disambiguation of words, even though in the transformer is not needed, but we still follow certain rules of the old school NLP. And then once we have, the results, like, for instance, correlation between topics, we have co-occurrence count of the topic, frequency analysis, etc., we take these mathematical correct results, and we start the dialogue with the LLM, asking the LLM to perform different analysis, from customer journey analysis, topic detection and sentiment analysis, etc., in a way that we have a kind of storytelling report. So our idea was, let's avoid to give just, for instance, a chart or a dashboard or pure figure, but let's basically have those agents working together to tell a story to the managers that are interested in understanding what are the drivers of satisfaction or dissatisfaction, or even better, the insights, and really the things that can be managed in a way that we can improve the customer experience. Just a short point here. What for me was extremely important was to create a better customer experience for my clients. So for customer experience manager, in a way that the stupid work is done by the machines, while they can have more time to dedicate, as you said, to the change management processes, to educate the organization, to talk to the organization, etc., etc. So that was the other important point. Avoid that basically, or remove from those people that are extremely busy and maybe they don't have the time, to go and educate the organization around certain topics related to customer experience, that they have enough time, because we remove time dedicated to focus on reading feedbacks, classify feedbacks, and things like that.
You are touching few important topics that needs to be mentioned next to the qualitative and quantitative analysis that you are performing. I am an old guy. It's always about input execution, and output. And you mentioned at the beginning that you were able to download public information related to Disney Paris, 40,000 feedbacks that you needed. How many feedback from customer or how many open text information do we need to put in this machine to get really good results? I know you cannot say 1,112, but to get a bit of feeling, is it possible or not?
To get very good results, you don't need a lot of feedbacks. It depends on the quality itself of the feedback. Let's take this example of Disneyland Paris. Those feedbacks are really customer reviewed, so they tend to be quite long feedback, and for sure the machine prefer to have the long feedback. I had recently an interaction with a company. Now I will not mention the name of the company. Is a Swiss company. They had a certain data set, not big, around 400 feedbacks. And certain feedbacks, they were extremely short, like everything is okay, or those kind of very short feedback. Those short feedback are useless for the machine, are useless as well for the customer experience manager, because they don't tell a lot about how was the experience in a specific touch point. But in order to answer your question, if you have 300, 400 feedbacks that are really good in terms of quality, in terms of length of the feedback, then is enough already to produce a good result.
Thank you, Federico. And now we know how many inputs we need. We understood a bit this machine or this magic button at the end. And you already mentioned about the output. But I would like to reiterate a bit on that you have enough time to explain what's the output. What should people expect as output from this inside narrator? Is a PDF? It's a Word document? What's the outcome?
Okay, the output is let's say text, and text you can basically place it wherever you want. Can be a PowerPoint, can be a Word, can be an HTML file, etc., etc. One of the things we have done is we have created a new, let's say, white canvas for our dashboard system. So as every voice of the customer vendor or customer experience management vendor, we have our dashboard. What we have done then is to create a new dashboard that allows to integrate those findings that we get from the Inside Narrator. For instance, one of the analyses we have in Inside Narrator is the typical SWOT analysis. So based on the feedback, what are the strengths, threats, opportunities, etc., etc. Instead, to present as a text, we can present in a nice dashboard where we have the classical 4 areas where we can place the different points. So the idea is, of course, is an ongoing development. I think we can improve in the next months and years. The idea is really to build a storytelling dashboard. So a dashboard that people doesn't need to interpret it anymore. And on the other side, because we talk already about this topic, we can assure a strong and rigorous governance of the information, because that could be also the other danger that we see, in having artificial intelligence extracting those information. We need to be sure that the governance of those information are managed by the humans and not by the machines, basically.
Thank you very much for these explanations. I know you very well, and therefore I'm quite sure that you're already working on the next improvements. What can you already share something? What you're working on now?
We are working in different areas because, of course, this is kind of Pandora box. When you started to open it, you find a lot of opportunities. We are working, bringing together, the area where we work on the single feedbacks with this more generic area where we try to generalize and summarize. And this will be done. We have we had the release 1 week ago. We have a new release in 3 weeks, and we will have this connection. So we have a particular area that we call topic AI, where we work on the single feedbacks. Will be integrated with inside Narrator, allowing to deep dive and to create even more interesting data visualization and stories. We are working on a specific assistant, which is a little bit different from the assistant we have so far in the market, because it goes well. We started to work before OpenAI launched GPT-4o, but it follows more or less the same logic. So this assistant has a memory, and this assistant has a way where it think about before giving an answer. So it takes more time to provide you an answer, but it goes in a very specific way that try to mimic the human brain. And then we work on data visualization that are generated by artificial intelligence and not anymore by humans. What does it mean? It means that, for instance, you have surveys, you have data coming from other sources. You don't need to design anymore a dashboard, but the artificial intelligence will build the dashboard for you, explaining, also having certain area where it explains why I selected this chart, why I wanted to create this correlation, etc., etc. So those are very high level the area that we are working at the moment, and we think we can in the next 12 months we can really deliver a totally different experience to our customer experience manager clients.
I think 2 questions I would have, and then we can conclude. The first one, if I understand well, this Insights Narrator is not part of the big Sandsiv platform that you are offering to your customer. It can be bought as a separate product. If somebody would like to test it, to see it, what's the best way to find more about the Insight Narrator?
We can basically give it for free in terms of free trial. So you don't run risk. You can trial by yourself, or you can give us your data, and basically we can show you what we can do with your data in this platform. You're right, Greg, because it's not part of the big end-to-end, or it's a little bit sad to say the legacy product is my kid. So defining a legacy is a little bit a heart attack for me, but unfortunately we are at that level. What I see in the future, I see something that will make customer experience management accessible for not just for big companies that they can afford these big projects, but also small companies where the whole process end to end is managed by artificial intelligence, and those small companies, they can focus on the insight.
People following this podcast knows that you are not always answering the question that I'm asking, but it's still interesting. My question, and please
okay.
let me rephrase it.
Okay.
Where can people find a solution? What's the best way to get more information about it?
Yeah, I know, Greg, that you always say I'm not a good salesman, and it's proof. I'm more interested in providing value to the people than selling something to the people. No, for sure, they can come to our website and no, it's not W anymore, Sandsiv.com. They can contact me on LinkedIn. It's not a problem. Soon we will have also, partners that will basically offer these solutions. We have already, a big network of partners that they are more focused at the moment on the big legacy platform. But definitely on our website, you can find all the contact details. I'm available on LinkedIn, so people can reach me on LinkedIn. And as I said before, we are more than happy to give access, for a couple of weeks for free to your own platform, or you can send us data and we can show what to do, what is possible to do, with your data, and what kind of insights we can find in the data.
Thank you, Federico. Also, this discussion was excellent. Thank you very much for your time. Please stay with me. To the audience for today, it's everything. I really suggest to test this platform out because it's incredible what it's possible nowadays. I tested that, and therefore I can state I really recommend to have a look at, because it creates really great insight that you can reuse, that will make your life easier, and you can then really focus on what really matters for you. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Thank you, Greg.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share the word of mouth, subscribe it, share it. Until the next episode, please don't forget, we are not in a B2B or B2C business, we are in a human-to-human environment. Thank you!